Okay, got it. Working on a basic level, I think. All right. Well, David, I like, I like that. How about everybody else? Is there, I mean, if you were able to figure it out, tell me that you're good to go. If you were not, tell me that you were not, so I can have an idea of what I'm dealing with. Good to go, good to go, good to go, good to go. Okay, so let me make sure, seems straightforward, right? You get, actually, Jay, do you wanna give me that straightforward path? Talk to me. What you got?
Uh, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I just went to the Google Fonts and followed they had instructions on there, and they're like, you can use link or import. And I just went with import for the
Mm-hmm.
website that I was messing around with for the anime. I just imported
Mm-hmm.
the URL for the fonts at google.com on the CSS
Mm-hmm.
style sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, for what I was affecting was like H1. I said
Mm-hmm.
font family, and
Mm-hmm.
then the font I chose was Anton, I'm guessing,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
I put in the sans serif family.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. I checked it out on site and it changed the font. And you could obviously do other things like with the weights and color and everything like that, but I just did
Roger that.
the
Roger
font to
that.
see if it.
Copy that. All right. So, and then Sam here is asking what's the difference between link and importance. That's what I'm about to look at. So, hopefully everybody kind of got to a similar place where, and I'm gonna go through it just to make sure that everybody got a chance to see work. All right. So to start off, let me say that I'm right here, hanging out right here. Got a bunch of paragraphs, and if I open them in live server, you get to see what they look like. They look like this. It's just a bunch of paragraphs that don't make a whole lot of sense. Now, let's say that I found this, I don't know why it doesn't even show up, but let me say I like some reason something's not up. So let me hard refresh that and then clear a bunch of these. And whenever you have fonts selected that you don't want selected no more, I want to show you that you can click here and then you can just go take them off file and just deselect them like so. Now, let me say that for some weird reason I want this. Why isn't no freaking font showing up? There you go. Let's set this Roboto, right? Let's say I like this Roboto style and I want to use this regular 400 in my page, right? So I would select this style. And once, nothing is to say that you only gotta select one style. You can select multiple. So let me say that I go back to my styles. And let's say I also, I'm looking at these guys. Anybody know what the difference of serif and sans serif is in fonts? All right. So if
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean, sorry, I was
go
trying
ahead.
to fiddle with my microphone.
Hmm.
So serif
Go
means
for it.
that there's a flourish on the font. So like if you look at, um, I don't think any of those fonts have it, but if the font has like a flourish, like let's say Times New Roman, they have those little flourishes on the end, then you have a serif on the font. Sans serif is like Calibri that doesn't have any flourishes and it's just a straight edge font. And
There
that's
you
the
go.
difference between the two.
There you go. All right. So let me flex my little French. So serif in French is actually like if you think like that little um like if you know the Pope, like Catholic Pope or something, he has like this little like stick that kind of got that little I don't know like a curvature thing, right? So that's the serif. Sans serif. Sans in French is like without, right? Yeah, that little can, the little can that has the freaking thing like that, that's a serif, right? So sans serif, it means without the serif. That's it. The serif, sans serif, without the serif. So if you look at this little guy right here, right, that little before on the F, right, that's a little serif. I'm like if you were doing, like if you were writing and you want to like really be fancy with it, right? So that's the serif. If you look at the sans serif guy, they're more so like uptight if you want to think about them like that. It's like very very rigid, right? So that's the difference. So again, if you wanted to say have multiple fonts selected, and let me say that I also, some weird reason, I want us to find a code, like something that stands out like this, right? If I like this guy, I could come down here and let's say I want this style also, so I can select two styles, right? So as you can see, it's just two styles, and they basically combine both of them in the link that they give you. So I'm gonna start with the link first because that's what we're used to. So if you look at the link that they give us, right? They're giving us this link with href, and if you look at the font family, you understand this more once we start talking about the back end, why this is like a question mark and they got a family, whatever. But something that I want to point out is if I were to copy this link, right? So I'm just copying this link, right? I'm gonna copy that, and then I'm gonna go to my HTML where I can link to it. And where would you want it linked? I'm guessing at the top because you'll want that to happen before your own styles. And I'm gonna recommend that whenever you're linking to third-party styles or JavaScript or whatever, again, give yourself a little comment, and let's say I'm gonna say Google Fonts so that you know what's happening in your code. Give it a little breather, and I'll paste it right there. That way I remember that, hey, this has to do with Google Fonts. So I put these fonts right here, and then I'll go back and I'll look at what they're telling me. What they tell is like, okay, once you got those fonts set up like so, then wherever you want to use my Babus, whatever this is, then just, any element that you want that to happen on, just set its font family. And then wherever you want your model to work on, just set their font family as well. Easy there to me. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna say, okay, imagine that this p tag is, let's say, I guess Betas. So I'm going to give it a class of Betas for some reason. Betas. Yeah, that. So I could come here and say, hey, anybody with a Betas vibe is going to get a font family of whatever they give me. I could also copy this. Now, just copy that line and then come back here and then paste it there. Now you will see that once I save this, I could go back to my page or whatever my page is right here, and you can see that this bad boy is now Bebas. And for the inquisitive part, of this class, anybody that's inquisitive, you're like, okay, where did they get that font? Well, if you look at this link, if you copy that link and put it in a browser somewhere, I guarantee you that what you get is some CSS. There it is. So basically, what Google is doing behind the scenes is that link gives you it gives you back CSS. And as you can see, they're literally creating the font face, on the fly. They're telling you this is Baby Snoo. They're telling you all this stuff. And then basically what you'll find out is to have a font, you just need to have a name, right? Like you can create a font yourself if you want to, if you have this source. And then you need a source, which is basically, if you look at this, it's like a file extension for fonts. Don't ask me what they do. This is all I know, right? But as you can see, they're basically 100%, right? So they got they got a bunch of fonts, and that's what you're getting back. Now, the question about what's the difference between import and link is the same thing as basically when we're talking about where you put the styles. So the link, as we know, the link would go inside of our HTML. Now the import, either you would have to put that import in this guy, right? Like as you can see when you look at the documentation of Google Fonts, you can see when you check the import, you have to put that import statement in between some style tags, meaning this is just a CSS rule. So either you could put it here, or where else do you think you could put it? Yeah, I mean, this is the internal styles. right? You know, those style tabs, those internal styles. So if you can put it in line if you want it, but what else? In the style sheet, right? In the style sheet. But also, I want you to notice you would have to put this thing at the very top, right? And then you will need to give this guy to like an HT, you know, if I wanted to put this in a style sheet, right? Like if I want to put this guy in a style sheet instead of using the link, I would either have to come here and put it in a style like so, i.e., I'm saying, hey, Styles, I want you to import this font. And then whenever you want to use it down here, then yeah, feel free. Go right ahead and use it. If you don't do this, then you basically would be saying, all right, let's take this and then we'll put it right here, like so, like that. So when you think about it, this is still importing, right? Again, this is the same link. This is the same link that is giving us this, guys. So you're still importing the same CSS that still gets added. Doesn't just because you can doesn't mean you should. I mean, it's different options. To me, I think when you think about this import, in a way, I want to say, what would I use? I mean, it's like, yeah, this works, but I don't know. I'm used to links, and then the fact that I need an internal style to use this here, I don't know, but they both do the same thing. So I think the person that you asked about, same, I think that was you. The difference, they do the same thing, just different syntax. Sam, I hope that answered your question. So there goes your fonts. Now, what if though, what if, right? What if you wanted a font and all of a sudden that font is not available on Google Fonts? Are you kind of doomed? So let's go with a scenario, real scenario. The same way we were looking at some colors from any website, right? Remember I showed you how we could just pretty much figure out what color any website is using, use that ourselves, find a pilot for it. You might also, hang out to different size sites. So let me say, uh, you came to this site, not there. You came to this site like this, and you want to know what the hell is the font that these guys are using. Well, it turns out you can basically find out whatever font any website is using if you have the right extension. And the extension that I use is this one, which is called What Font. So if you go to Chrome extensions and you search for What Font, I think this is the new one. I think the one that I have got discontinued, I guess, but you could install this guy. Let's say add to Chrome, yeah, add extension, and then this is the guy that just got installed. So if I were say on this website and I want to know what font this is, I could just click on the extension that I just installed, which is what font, which is either this one or that one. I could pin this. So if I click on that WF, click on that, what font? No, not the extension part. I want this. Remove, unpin, manage. Okay. I just want to click on this guy. Manage extension. How the hell does this thing work? I'll show you how mine that I have already works, and then I'll get you to see how the other one works. So I'll click on this guy. By me clicking on it, by me hovering over any text, they tell me exactly what font that is. So I know that on this site they're using Grey Cliff CF, right? And they tell me the weights and stuff like that. So I think if I go to this guy, they'll probably tell me what I need to know. Overview, now you can use identify, don't miss the opportunity, report abuse. How the hell does this thing work? I don't know. So let me go to the extension again and find what. I'll just Yeah, what font? There you go. Actually, one word. What font? Install this guy instead. My bad. Don't install that. Forget this guy. I thought that they discontinued my other one. So there you go. What font? One word. I already have it installed. Once you got it installed, you look at that little icon right here. You find any place you want. So let's say ESPN. I don't know what font they use, but if I wanted to know what font they use, I could click on it. They use basically whatever I have on my computer. They just go with that. If you wanted any site that you want, you can find it. So the example that I want to show you is like Great Cliff. I want this font. I go to Google Fonts. Let's say I go to Google Fonts, and I'm looking for Great Cliff. Now I know I can't find it. So Great Cliff, hit enter. Oops, can't find it. So what gives, right? So it turns out the same way these guys create a font face like so, we could create our own font if we have this WOF or W. I think they actually like WFF or something like that. So it turns out that there's some free fonts and you can download them. So let's say I want Great Cliff font download, right? So it looks like there's some Adobe fonts and this the font free. So let me see if this Adobe fonts I can use them for free. All right. And I come down here and it's Great Cliff CF. It looks pretty good to me. How the hell do I download this? Licensing the buzz clear for both personal and commercial use. Sure, sure, sure. Active non-fonts. Okay. And they want me to create a goddamn account. I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I want to download something free of charge. So yeah, look at that. So Great Cliff, blah blah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is good. This is good. Okay, I can download it. Total files, one file. I can download it, right? So boom, download that guy. And yeah, 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 yeah. Please don't ask me for no money. Yup, download it, zip it up. So this thing is being downloaded, and I just put in my downloads. I can just call it that. I already downloaded one time, so it's gonna ask me, yep, replace it. So as you can see, I just downloaded it, and I can show you in my Finder. Here it is. I want you to do the same thing so you can, pretty much see how this stuff works. But I'm right here, downloaded a font, right? It's zipped up, double click it, demo fonts. I see this guy. There's a bunch of these guys already in there, right? So uh, I can use either one of these, but ultimately I want this folder to show up close to my folders that I'm working in, like around here, like right here in my Flexbox. So I want to move that folder or I want to move one of those files into, this folder. So in this folder, I'm going to create me a folder that I'm going to call resources. I'm going to call fonts. That way, again, I'm organized. So I'm here, create a folder called fonts, like so. And then I'm going to try to move one of those files in this fonts folder. To do that, I'm not going to be fancy. I'm just going to have this guy be here like so. And I'm going to open another one like that. Not I'm gonna open another window like that, so I could have them one left, another right. I'll go navigate to my folder right here, HTML, CSS, Flexbox. I got my fonts ready to go. So what I want to do, I want to get, let's say, the medium font, this guy, and I'm gonna drag it from here to there. So dragging it up, bow over here. Now it doesn't look like it. Okay, now I got it inside of my fonts. Now I can go ahead and actually use this file to create myself a brand new font that I can use inside of my page. Again, to recap, you just gotta have a font that you can download. When you download a font, it's gonna come back with like this OTF extension or WOFF or whatever font extension they use. But once you have the font file, then it's actually easy to create yourself a font. And what I'm going to show you is I'm going to go back here and to show you how to create a font if you went to like or like CSS, create font family. There you go. You just need pretty much like two, three things. You need the font family name, and you need a source. And for that source, you call that URL function, and you pass in the file that you have. And all of that you do with the font face. How clear is that? I already have this guy. I could call it whatever I want. And this will give me a font family that I can use across my pages. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the same thing. I need an at font dash face, font family, and a source. Okay, sounds pretty good to me. So I'll go here, and inside of just right here, I can say, all right, right there, I'm going to say at font face tab, right? And it just auto completes that. So I want to show it to you again. I'll go at font face, and if I tab, it will fill them up for me. I just need to give this guy a name, and for the name, I'm just gonna go Great Cliff, like so, or like that. And then the URL, I just need to give it a path to my my file that I have in here. Again, I'm inside of style.css. Style.css is on the same level as my fonts. They're both inside of the same folder. So I'll just say dot forward slash fonts and then find this guy. So again, I just created a font family like so. And if I want, I could just tell these guys like, hey, for my font family now, I don't want you to use anybody else, but use the Gray Cliff guy. Now, if I save that and save this and go back to my page, you bet that font has changed to Gray Cliff. How much sense does that make?
Sorry, can you go back to your style page 1 second?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
hmm so I get squares in most Google fonts. So Henry, I'm getting the squares as well. I think that has to do with, I don't know if they're downloading correctly or if this, you saw me getting a bunch of squares. So what that means is, as you saw, we're basically using this link to download their fonts, right? So when we're using that link to download their fonts, that download might take a minute. It might happen, it might not happen. So if that does not download, yes, your font will literally show squares unless, but when you have this guy right here, like this is the fallback. So what I'm really literally saying, I'm saying, hey, go use Great Cliff. If it's not available, default to whatever your system deems to be cursive. Whatever the system font that's cursive is, use that. Henry, I hope that makes sense. So whenever you're using third-party fonts or whatever font families you're going to use, always remember to give it a fallback so that if that font is not available, the computer or the system reverts to whatever the system uses for that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. I just worry a little bit because I only saw squares on the website. I didn't try to link them because I don't know what they looks like.
Oh,
So I haven't linked them
that's
yet.
weird.
So yeah, that makes sense. If
Yeah,
I link them, they should be showing.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
saw
yeah,
squares on your
yeah. I
screen
don't know.
too, but the thing on
Yeah,
mine it's like 90% of them
all
they
squares.
are
Okay, that blows. Is that happening to anybody else but Henry? All right. But yeah, so I think it has to do, if I were you, I'd just hard refresh, do a Control Shift R, Command Shift R if you're on a Mac, and then see if they download easier or faster. But that's the only thing that I
okay.
can think of. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I think
Um,
okay. Thank you.
yep, you got it. You got it. Any other question about fonts? Okay. If there's no question, then Was there anybody who was able to figure out this icon business? And while we're here too, so far I want to tell you that everything we've been doing is free. We ain't had to pay for nothing. But just that there is free stuff, there's stuff that if you pay more money, you get access to more stuff. So if you're not business of swiping your card, by all means, find other alternatives that you would have to pay for to get more stuff. There's like some paid fonts. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do. Okay, but all right, 10 to the break. All right. Was there anybody who was able to figure out how to use these icons? All right. If not, you got 10 minutes to figure out how those icons work. How do you get these Google Fonts icons on your page? Like, if I wanted this home icon, how would I get it to my page? Same system. You just gotta, read up a little documentation here and there, but same thing. So figure out how can I get these Google Fonts icons on my page? Figure that out. 10 minutes. there anybody who could not figure out how those things work? Or if you were able to figure it out, hit me with that good to go. Let's see who was able to figure that out. All right, Kitty's good. All right, so I'm gonna give you that 10-minute break. When we come back, I'll recap that, and then I'll show you that those Google Fonts icons is not the only icons that you can use, but we'll get started there, and then you'll see how we can use any icons that we want, and that is gonna be a perfect segue because now we're starting to realize, holy snap, we're using like literally like those Google fonts. Those are styles that were written by somebody else. That font was created by somebody else, but I want you to realize that we just linked to a link that gives us those styles, and we're using those styles. And what you're about to see with with those Google icons, those Google Fonts icons, you realize that we're about to use somebody else's class that we never wrote, but somebody else wrote, and that's going to be a perfect segue for us to start talking about Bootstrap and Materialize and there's other CSS libraries that will make your life mad easy. Yep. All right, so get that take a 10-minute break, come back at 31, and then we'll continue building from what you have. Let's do it.